Welcome to the Wins and Losses Show. My name is Winston, and this is
Lavel. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Most definitely. So we just got back from the Commanders and the Cowboys game, right? And what happened?
Absolutely. We never saw it coming. I can't say we didn't. I thought, as a diehard Commanders fan, tonight would be the night from the opening kickoff that we would take out the Cowboys. And I was correct. Now, as to why this happened, what do you think?
There's a few reasons why, but it was surprising. Off the record, I said that the Cowboys would probably walk away with the game today because they had a lot to play for.
Absolutely.
Today.
Absolutely.
But this was a team win for the Commanders. They started Sam Howell for the first time from UNC. Riverboat Ron wanted to start off Sam and get a good look at him, in an NFL, from start to finish, not just thrown in at the end of a game. And the team supported him really well today. Special teams played well, defense played well. Yeah, basically had a special team set up the offense in great field position. Defense had a pick six as well on top of that.
Absolutely.
Sam threw a touchdown, capitalized in moments. Special teams missed a few field goals and, point after touchdowns, but I think it was a complete and total team victory today, just seeing how the Commanders just commanded, on both ends of the field.
Okay, now here's my observation, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Does the game today reflect more as to the Commanders' maybe future with Sam Howell, or the Cowboys falling flat in the last game going into the playoffs? What do you think was more of a factor today?
I think the latter. As a Tar Heel fan, I like Sam Howell, but I am hesitant to anoint him as the next great quarterback in Washington.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm hesitant to do that. Now I think it is a lot more realistic for Dallas to pull the classic Dallas Cowboys thing to fall flat on their face
That's
in
fair.
the first or second round of the playoffs. The Cowboys are a super talented team. We saw Dak tonight. He had more than enough time to make plays.
Absolutely.
He could count his hands and toes and, count to 30 before he wanted to pass the ball half the time. But, I mean, a pick six. On top of that, he was hesitant, double clutching on a few throws. Even the punter on the Dallas special teams muffed,
Yeah, that was
a
big.
snap. That was a big momentum swing that made it a two-score. Well, should have made it a two-score game at that moment in time. But yeah, I think tonight was a preview of Dallas probably falling flat on their face again. A lot of Cowboys fans have been talking about what is Dak doing or what is he not doing, how can he improve, and we heard quite a few Cowboys fans talk about their disdain for Dak as well and how he needs to improve. But I think tonight was more about how Dallas is going to fall short in the near future than the future for the Washington Commanders. Maybe I just don't have that much faith in Sam Howell, but that's just my 2
I
cents.
totally get that because Sam's resume is short. It's a small body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it was just today.
Yeah.
Because we hadn't seen Sam play for today. But something you and I talked about early in the second quarter, I think it was, that the Commanders went in the red zone twice, came up with no points,
Yep.
kicked a field goal that we missed. So we're talking potentially a maximum of 17 points versus 0 points. And I was sure at that point, and I mentioned to you, that I thought that would come back to definitely bite. You cannot give up 17 points to a really good team.
Yep.
And let's face it, much as I may dislike them, they are a really good football team. They've won 12 games.
Yep.
But those 17 points did not come back to hurt us at all because Dallas only scored 6 in the game.
6 points.
So now none of us.
A touchdown, not 2 field goals, a touchdown with a missed field goal.
Absolutely,
extra point.
absolutely. Nobody saw this coming. So what do you attribute this total flat performance by the Cowboys today?
The Cowboys had quite a bit to play for. You know, they could have won the division,
Possible number one seed
possible number one
in the
seed,
NFC.
but I think they looked past Washington today.
I would agree with that.
They had to have looked past because if they would have taken this game seriously, it would have been a lot closer. Washington is on their best day is not a 20-point, a better team
I would agree
than
with
Dallas.
that. I would agree
And
with
I
that.
think Dallas maybe on their best day could be a two-score better team than Washington on their best day, but they just simply it seemed like they didn't really want to play. I don't I I was lost for words, and I sound like I'm a Cowboy fan right now. I don't want to sound like a Cowboy fan, but I was lost
It's
for
okay.
words
It's okay.
just to seeing how they
okay.
played today, how they performed today.
Because if you were a
Um,
Cowboy fan, you'd be the only one that's speaking up right now.
yeah,
I haven't seen a Cowboy fan in 3 hours. I haven't seen a Cowboy fan in hours. But go right ahead. I'm sorry.
but
My
yeah,
bad. My
they
bad.
had something to play for today, and other teams that have something to play for, like the Eagles.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts made sure
Showed
he
up.
played, and they showed up,
Beat
and
the
they
Giants.
took care of business.
Okay.
So I think when you can clinch something, when your fate, we talked about this too. When
Yes,
your
we
fate
did.
is in your own hands,
In your hands. You have control.
that's-
Go out and do what you're supposed to do.
you have to capitalize on that. So
Special teams let them down.
if they are bounced in the first round again, Dak Prescott may not be the quarterback next year. They might find a way to get him out of there.
Yeah, but you signed him to a big bag of money.
You did.
So what are you going to do? It would appear to me that he's going to be your quarterback. But as Stephen A., my man Stephen A. so aptly puts it, every single season, and he did it again today, he said Dallas is a car wreck waiting to happen.
Waiting to happen.
Now,
Yep.
and I have no problem with that because facts are facts.
Yep.
You've won 12 games. You come into today with something to play for, and you decide to play your starters and not rest them.
Yep.
So which tells me you're playing for that number one seed.
Right.
You're playing for that first round bye. But you look as flat as a pancake.
Yep.
You left points out there that even a bad team, I'm not saying Washington's a good team. We're middle of the road. I'm a 7-win team for 3 straight seasons. It is what it is. 7 wins is average.
Right.
It's just average. No better, no worse. But today we looked like a football team that could compete.
You did.
And I don't know if that was because of Sam Howell's injection into the offense or if it was Dallas's lack of focus in all phases of the game. If you had to pick one of those 3, what would it be?
I think it's probably Dallas. Dallas coming up short, but you mentioned the 7 wins. This has been a consistent thing for the Washington football team
Absolutely.
and the Commanders over the last
Absolutely.
few years. It was a consistent thing for Riverboat Ron when he was with my team, the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely.
We were a 7-win team consistently. No better, no worse. We were always competitive, but we were never realizing our potential. And so when you look at Ron Rivera as the head coach for the Washington Commanders, what does his future look like in Washington?
Well, I do believe this because of the sale of the team being in limbo, and most likely a sale is going to happen somewhere. What I'm told from my sources is around March, which would be when we would need to make a decision on Carson Wentz,
Right.
which, in my mind, the decision has been made.
Yeah.
But I believe that the sale of the team being such in limbo right now gives Riverboat Ron another year.
Yep.
And I have no problem with that because I believe that Ron is much smarter than me. Now, to me, it appears to be a simple situation of stable quarterback play.
Yeah.
Stable. We have had 33 starting quarterbacks since 1991. That was our last Super Bowl win with Doug Williams. 33. There are only, and I'm not exactly sure, but there are only 3 or 4 teams who have had just as many or more starting QBs in that time. And needless to say, those 3 or 4 teams are right with us at the bottom of the league. To me, and I get it, I am strictly amateur watching football like everybody else. But it appears to be a simple concept of drafting a quarterback.
Hmm.
I would just throw out here a team that I really don't like, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that went out this past off draft and got Kenny
Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett. Yep.
Brought in Mitch Trubisky to hold it down until Kenny got ready.
Yep.
Now I don't know who watched that game last week besides me against Baltimore, but you saw Kenny Pickett step in there in the heat of battle
Yep.
against one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the AFC, and
Good
come out
defense.
with a win.
Yep.
And throw a couple of passes with a window about 8 by 8. You saw it. My point is, Mike Tomlin, one of the top 4 or 5 coaches in this league, no doubt.
Yep.
Man has never had a below 500
season.
season in his coaching career.
Yep.
And then everybody, and that if he were to have one this year, nobody would fault him because of what's happening in Pittsburgh.
Right.
But the fact is, he had the foresight to draft Kenny Pickett, to bring him along at just the right pace, and to put him in here in a crucial division game against the Ravens
Yep.
last week, and let him do his thing
Yeah.
and come out with a 3-point victory.
Yep.
I believe in my heart of hearts that until my franchise goes to the draft and gets a quarterback, that we're going to stabilize that issue we have with quarterback play. That's just where I am. But give me your thoughts on that.
I couldn't agree more, and that seems to be the narrative that's followed Ron Rivera. That was his issue at Carolina. His career as a head coach in Carolina basically went as the health of Cam Newton went. When Cam was healthy, Ron had winning or borderline winning seasons or dominant seasons, 15, in one season as well. But when we had question marks at the quarterback position, we had basically a rotating carousel. Riverboat Ron, he went as Cam went, and when we didn't have Cam, we used Taylor Heineke. We used Kyle Allen, and so even this year, we've had a rotating carousel at the quarterback position. Then on top of that, Matt Rule, as a head coach, was going after 4 or 5 games, and Steve Wilkes steps in. Steve Wilkes is a Charlotte native, went to West Charlotte, a Carolina guy. He was the secondary coach when we went to the Super Bowl at 15-1. He already has a presence in that locker room from before, knows how to win in that locker room as a coach on staff, and in that organization. And now he's the interim coach. He's been dealt a bad hand, inheriting a team without a quarterback who just traded away their best player, Christian McCaffrey. A team that, on the outside looking in, it looks like, it would behoove them to go ahead and tank.
Yeah.
First game, he says, look, we're not tanking.
Well, look, you
We're
brought
not
this
tanking.
up, and that's a good point. Now, if reports are true that Panthers management did indeed contact Jim Harbaugh about the coaching vacancy
Yep.
that's coming up, how do you think that affects Steve Wilkes' psyche, or how do you think it affects the whole coaching search in general?
I hope it doesn't affect Steve Wilkes' psyche. I think that what it does is just show the true character of David Tepper as an owner.
Which would be?
He said, reporters asked David Tepper, what does Steve Wilkes have to do to earn the head coach job?
Okay.
And David Tepper said he needs to see remarkable improvement, winning,
Okay.
remarkable improvement.
Okay.
These are things that you can't tangibly measure.
Okay.
That's just so subjective. Remarkable improvement. Steve Wilkes, in my opinion, showed
Okay.
remarkable improvement. His team
So
went from 1-4 to 7 or 6 and 9, 7 and 10. And so when you take a team that is basically at the bottom of the bottoms, mentally, roster wise, traded away his most valuable asset, and you bring that team to being in contention of winning the division and actually still being in playoff contention as well, I think that's a great job. And for him to not be seriously considered for the head coaching position, I think it's a slap in his face.
okay.
But I think, if anything, it speaks to David Tepper not being truly genuine and giving Steve Wilkes a fair shot. Now, Jim Harbaugh wasn't the only person. I looked this up. Jim Harbaugh wasn't the only person that the Panthers front office reached out to. They reached out to Jim Caldwell as well, former Lions coach, head black coach. They also reached out to Jim Harbaugh, and Steve Wilkes is going to have an official interview as well. So I hope that David Tepper actually, the owner of the Panthers, actually put some thought into this decision,
Okay.
and realizing that we have something good here with Steve Wilkes already.
Let me ask you a question as a Panthers fan. Now, I think we would almost agree that the NFC South is not one of the stronger divisions in football.
Yep,
It just is what it is.
it is.
The Buccaneers are in first place winning the division
Yep.
with a barely winning record. Is that correct? Because,
Yeah.
okay, it is what it is.
Basically 500.
It is what it is. But if you were on the hiring committee,
Mm-hmm.
let's say because the last game was today, so we're going to start tomorrow with our search for a new coach.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be on top of your list tomorrow and why?
At the top of my list, Steve Wilkes will be at the top of my list because he's already proven it with this locker room and with his team in the past and currently. Next up, I'm an offensive guy, but I don't see why Sean Payton shouldn't be on that list. Sean Payton has already expressed interest of coming back as a head coach. He was in the NFC South. He's a winner. He's a Super Bowl winner as well. Sean Payton will be on my list. He'll be a guy I'm giving a call. I'm also giving Eric Bieniemy a call. He's been running one of the most potent offenses that we've seen in the last couple decades. That's one of the most potent offenses I've seen in my career of watching football. But Eric Bieniemy, there have been questions about his leadership abilities with not being a player's coach or not being able to interact with players. But he's an X's and O's guy, and he has has a great track record of success with stars and without stars. Look at this year. Kansas City is just as successful, if not more, without Tyreek Hill. That was going to be the big question mark coming in this season. Is Patrick Mahomes still going to be the elite QB that he was without that secret weapon of Tyreek Hill?
Let's go back to your second choice. And I fully understand Steve Wilkes, and I agree with you there. Steve is my number one guy. But you said Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I'm understanding, Sean Payton, to take a job in the NFL, would need, as one of his prerequisites, would be stability at quarterback.
Right.
Something that the Panthers don't have right
Correct.
now. So how would you address that if you were to approach Sean Payton about the quarterback situation?
We have, whether you agree or not, on the moral side of it, we've been in the running for every single big free agent quarterback in recent that's been on the free agent market. Russell Wilson, we were right there for almost getting Russell Wilson. Deshaun Watson, we were right there for almost getting Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson, there's already been rumors and reports that he would gladly accept, an offer from the Panthers. And we already have weapons. Our offensive line is much improved. And if we put Lamar Jackson on our team, before with Christian McCaffrey, that would have been a nice little 1-2 punch there. But now with Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard, nobody knows what we're gonna do in the draft. But I think that we could truly show Lamar Jackson the appreciation that he deserves, and a good brand of football of running the ball and a lot of yards after the catch, and having a strong defense and talented defense. That's what we have right now. And so I would try to fix that with Lamar Jackson. I would go right after Lamar Jackson. his relationship with the Ravens front office and the organization and the Ravens organization seems to be a little fractured at the moment. So I mean, I would go right after Lamar and say, this is my guy, Sean Payton. Let's get him and let's make it work.
Okay. Let's go under the assumption. Now we all know that Lamar needs a contract.
Yep.
I think it's safe to say that you would agree with me. Lamar is one of the top 6, 7 quarterbacks in this league.
Yep.
Okay. Let's say that the Ravens come to their senses after this season's over, whether it's first playoff game, second round, whatever it is, and sign Lamar to a big-time contract, which means Lamar is off the market. Where does that leave the Panthers as far as their quarterback, and how does that affect the coaching search?
Well, that is the biggest strike against us in the coaching search. It's not a definite that we would be able to get Lamar. We are a smaller market team, and so we have mortgaged a couple of, draft picks with some temporary QB options, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. We traded away some draft picks for that. I would think that we could do the same exact thing until there's a QB that we just are so enamored with that we got to have this guy. I think going through the draft, unless you can get that home run guy in the draft, like a Cam Newton, like a Lamar Jackson, like a Andrew Luck, like a Kyler Murray, that guy that everybody sees and say, hey, this is the guy right here. Unless you see that guy on your draft board, coming up in the next draft, you're going to have to get somebody in free agency, man, or hope that somebody just, catches lightning in the bottle and peaks at the right time within your system and in your team. But we probably would have to turn to the draft, man. Turn to the draft.
Okay.
So if there's a draft guy, if there's a guy in the draft,
do you see a guy in that draft right now that
only guy I see is C.J. Stroud, man.
C.J. Stroud?
C.J. Stroud.
I'm with you on that.
C.J. Stroud.
I only got 2 questions left. Make them real simple.
Okay.
We're going to start right at the top. Right now, with what's happened today, who would be your number 1 team in the AFC to be in the Super Bowl, and why? Now, let's go
as of today.
Let's go today. That's including current scores today,
as of today.
games today, and I'm sure I know you're up on it. So,
Yep.
What would be your team today, your AFC team? Just one off the top?
Off the top, if I'm not thinking too hard about it, I got to go with Cincinnati.
Not a bad pick.
Joe Burrow has played really well in big games against other big-time QBs.
Yeah.
He's played really well. Joe Mixon has peaked at the right time. You got the combination of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is the best 1-2 punch as a wide receiver core in the league.
I'm with that.
I think Cincinnati, they were right there, on the cusp of a Super Bowl last year. Cincinnati is my team coming out of the AFC.
Okay.
Now I know you like one of those other teams in the
Well,
AFC.
we'll get to that later, but we just go with that.
Okay.
I got Cincinnati.
Okay.
Now, your number 1 team out of the NFC, and why? And this is including today's game.
This is including today's games. I have to go with the Eagles. The Eagles, the reason being is the team is so complete. Even without Jalen Hurts.
I'm with you.
They put up a great fight against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely.
So Gardner Minshew, he plays with a lot of heart too, but he's not Jalen Hurts. But their defense, their run defense, the receiving core, the talent they have surrounding Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is simply a winner. So if those are my teams, I'm going with Cincinnati and the Eagles. Now, if the DeMar Hamlin situation didn't just happen, I probably would have said Buffalo.
Okay.
And Cincinnati was beating Buffalo in that time.
Okay.
So, I think we could see.
Now, the Bills won today.
I know they did win
Beating
today.
the Patriots today.
They did beat
and
the
it was a
Patriots.
big thing for them to have DeMar FaceTime with them yesterday.
Yep, and he flexed for them.
Kind of got a little bit of stuff off their mind, a little bit of stress out, and they can go out and play football. Do you think the Bills could be that team of destiny Cinderella team. And I can't say Cinderella because they're a
Yeah.
good football team.
Yeah, they're good.
They're not just coming out of nowhere. They are a good football team.
But it's a feel-good story.
It's really feel good. And now you got more to feel good for. So how do you take Buffalo out of that equation?
I take Buffalo out of the equation just because I think Cincinnati is just playing so well right now. They're peaking at the right time.
Okay.
Buffalo peaked a little early, I think. They
Okay.
peaked early, and then they had some shakiness, and they're starting to get back on track. Now, you're right. This DeMar Hamlin situation could be the motivation and the incentive they need to,
Absolutely.
to take it all the way. But, yeah, I have to say right now, Cincinnati. Right now, I mean in AFC, and right now in NFC, I'm going with the Eagles.
I got one final question because it kind of perplexes me, but the final score of the Dolphins-Jets game, the Dolphins won that game 11-6. Now, we know Dolphins are without Tua.
Yep.
Probably going to be without Tua because Tua is like a glass bulb. He's fragile.
Right.
Two questions. 1A, do you think the Dolphins are done? 2, do you think the Jets can rebound with Mike White or Zach Wilson?
Yes, to answer to the first question, and no to the second question.
Okay.
Yes, the Dolphins are done. They have a super talented team, and I hate that they made moves mid-season to even enhance that defense.
Okay.
More than it already was enhanced.
We got a fragile quarterback.
They got a fragile quarterback, and unfortunately, Teddy Two Gloves, has been hurt too. As well. So
we know Teddy's history. We know Teddy's history.
We know Teddy's history.
You know.
So I mean, they got a great team, but without nobody actually commanding that team and throwing the ball out, in and outside of the pocket, I don't think the Dolphins can make any noise. Mike McDaniel, I actually like him. He's a dry personality, but I actually like him as a coach, though.
But what about the Jets?
The Jets.
Is Mike White, is Zach Wilson?
No.
Tell me something about the Jets that I don't know.
Something about the Jets that you don't know.
Tell me which quarterback is going to take the Jets where they need to go. I tell you what. Scratch that. Let's make it simple. In your opinion, can Zach Wilson take the Jets where they need to go?
No.
Okay.
He's not a leader.
Can Mike White take them where they want to go?
He could. I think Mike White is a better quarterback.
Think he's a better shot than Zach Wilson?
Yes. I think Zach Wilson is more talented.
Now who QB today? They 11-6
I
win.
think they had
Actually, the Dolphins won that game 11-6.
They had their third string in, I think, today.
Okay. That would be Joe Flacco, wouldn't it?
I think Joe Flacco started today.
Oh my God.
So
okay.
So I mean, we know Joe Flacco's not the answer.
He's not the answer.
But Mike White, I think the team plays a little bit more motivated under Mike White.
Okay.
When he's leading the
team.
team.
You think Zach Wilson's done in New York?
Well, Robert Saleh said that they're gonna try to ride with Zach, over the offseason and try to get him inform the offense to his strengths. So if that's the case,
Robert, do you think?
I don't think so. No, Zach Wilson is not. When he said that he didn't believe that he let the defense down,
that was it for you.
That was it. That was.
You know what? That was it for me too.
That was it.
What were you thinking? Not just the defense. You let your team down. But what were you thinking to not take that opportunity to show the responsibility and say, look, I will take all of this.
Right.
Put it on me, man. It's my bad.
Right.
But to say that, no,
and he threw for what, 80 yards, 90 yards that game?
Okay, so we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Listen, you just heard it live right here from my man, Winston.
Thanks, Lavel. So you just heard my predictions. We got to hear yours.
I did.
Who's coming out of the NFC?
I did. And here's where I am, and this is taking into account today's games. We know now, even though the Cowboys lost, they are going to Tampa Bay next Sunday. I have absolutely zero faith in Tampa Bay. I have no question in my mind that Dallas, even if they're as unfocused as they were today, will beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is just that bad. So in that game, I got Dallas. We got the Giants, the wild card going to Minnesota. To me, that's a tough pick, and I'll tell you why. I have seen the Vikings come back from a 33-point deficit, the biggest deficit in history, to beat the Colts. But Are the Colts just that bad, or are the Vikings that good? That's the question that I struggle with. And we have seen the Colts ride the roller coaster mostly down
Yeah.
this season. I love Jeff Saturday as a person, but I'm not sold on his coaching ability. No doubt in my
Fair.
mind
Fair.
that the Giants beat the Vikings next week. Okay. As of right now, it is Detroit and Green Bay with the winner going to San Francisco. I think that's the most intriguing game in the NFC wildcard playoffs next week. Aaron Rodgers, should the Packers win, are hot, really hot. Going to San Francisco playing against a defense that I think is one of the best in the league. Question mark here is Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Can he maintain?
It's the playoffs. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, not excel, not go low, but maintain. He doesn't have to be great. He has to be steady, which means no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions. I'm thinking 15 completions out of 24 attempts, couple of 100 yards, maybe a touchdown, no
Yep.
interceptions. You've got the athletes on that team on offense with Debo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey to do a lot of things. The pressure's not going to be on Brock Purdy to throw for 300 yards.
Right.
Green Bay, on the other hand, right now is hot. Aaron Rodgers is extremely confident. His young receivers that we saw in the first 4 or 5 games now have gained confidence.
Yeah.
They know the offense. They think they know a little about Aaron Rodgers. They know where to be. Best game of the weekend, San Fran by 2.
Ooh, it's a close one. That's a close one.
But we go to the AFC, and now
So who you think's coming out of the NFC?
I still, right now, I'm going to go on the way Brock Purdy has played in the last 2 weeks. And I'm going to go with San Fran just a tad over Philly.
Okay.
Not because Brock's that good or Jalen Hurts is that bad, but just because of the intangibles. And I think that San Fran defense pulls them out in the end.
Yeah.
My thoughts, San Fran out of the NFC.
They got a great defense, and that's a great pick there too. I mean, those are two complete teams. And if Brock Purdy can just remain steady, I mean, they dropped how much? Almost 40 points today. And he's played extremely poised for a rookie quarterback. I know it's been said a bajillion times. He was Mr. Irrelevant.
Absolutely.
The very last pick in the NFL
Absolutely.
draft. This is an incredible story because Jimmy G, he wasn't a super uber talented quarterback. He just simply maintained for the team to hold on to victories and hold other teams low.
Not to cut you off, this is a team that doesn't need a great quarterback.
Right.
This is the ultimate example of a game manager.
Yep.
I don't need you to go out and throw. I need you to go out here and maintain and manage this game.
Yep.
Do what I ask you to do, but those throws that I need on 2nd and 6, on 3rd and 5, you got to make those.
Yep.
But I'm giving you easy throws. I'm asking you to go downfield 40 yards on 2nd down.
And you're throwing it to Christian
I'm asking
McCaffrey
you
and
to throw
Debo Samuel.
to some guys who can catch the ball and YAC, yards after catch, are the best in the game.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey and Debo.
And Ayuk he's not
No
too shabby
question
either.
about it.
He's really stepped
No
up.
question about it. I'm going to keep you in a situation where you're not having to win the game on your arm. Just manage the game, make easy throws, and we win. But I'm going to ask you about this in the AFC.
Okay.
The Bills and Miami next week in Buffalo. I need 3 picks, but that's the first one. You're going to tell me who and why. You're going to say Bills, man. Why are you hesitating?
It's got to be the Bills, man.
Okay.
I mean, the Dolphins. I mean, I really don't even know why they're in the playoffs at this point. They did have a
because of their
talented
early
team.
work in the early season.
I mean, it's definitely the Bills.
It's the Bills.
I was hesitating because
You scared me there.
I almost want to change my pick. I think that the most exciting and what America needs as far as ratings, we need an Eagles Bills Super Bowl.
Okay.
Bills
So
Mafia
why were
versus
you
the Eagles fans.
hesitating? Why were you hesitating about?
Because I picked earlier. I picked Cincinnati to come out of the AFC.
Okay, we'll get to that. We're talking about Bills
Yeah.
Miami next week.
hmm
You go with Bills.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but now let's get to the meat and the grit. The Cincinnati and Baltimore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cincinnati for sure. They no
For sure.
for sure. I mean, it's
Whether Lamar plays or not.
whether Lamar plays or not. It's
Okay.
a question mark.
I'm with you.
Yeah, Cincinnati's been on the roll. I really
Because
like
I
Joe
want to
Burrow.
conserve your time. Now I'm going to the third AFC game. Jacksonville and
LA Chargers. So they got against the Chargers. Yeah, got to read it on camera.
yeah.
LA Chargers, Justin Herbert, extremely talented quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, future face of the league, incredibly talented quarterback as well.
Trevor's rolling.
He is. They're rolling, and Travis Etienne is running too.
Now, right now, should Jacksonville beat the LA Chargers? Are the Chargers underachieving?
I don't think so. I
You
don't
don't
think.
think so?
I don't think they're underachieving.
You don't think if Jacksonville beats the Chargers next weekend that Brandon Staley's job is shaky now?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think Sean Payton could swoop in and take that job? Because I say that because
could.
I'm hearing a lot of Sean Payton. The only jobs he would consider would be a franchise with a stable quarterback situation. And what young quarterback is more stable?
And Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
That just needs leadership. But, what do you think? Give me your thoughts about that.
That's a great place for him to land. I think there's two options in LA. Not just
Okay.
the Chargers, but the Rams are another good option too.
Okay.
Sean
You think
McVay,
Sean McVay, you think it's like that?
Well, he's been questioning if he's going to stay in the league and coaching a little bit longer. He's had a lot of family stuff going on. This losing season and all the injuries that they've dealt with has taken a toll on him. And he's a younger guy. He's in his late 30s, so he really is trying to value his family time and his marriage.
Okay.
He just got married as
Okay.
well. So those are some things to consider. There have already been reports that Sean McVay may retire. So if Sean McVay retires, I mean, you got the LA Rams. Is Matthew Stafford still in the picture or not? We don't know, but the team is still a team can win.
And I'm
Team
glad
can
you
win.
said that because if I had to balance Matthew Stafford
Right.
and Justin Herbert, I'm telling you, my scale tips in favor of Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford's got the elbow injury that's lingering. He's a little bit older. I think we tend sometimes to put on the back burner that Matthew Stafford played a lot of football in Detroit. Played a lot of football, took a lot of hits.
Yeah, he did.
I think some of that's residual now in L.A. But you got your ring. But let's get back to right now.
Okay.
Right now, today, if you were to pick a quarterback, okay, you're Sean Payton. Both jobs are available.
Oh, I'm
I got
definitely going with the
Matthew
Chargers.
Stafford and I got Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert for sure.
No question.
You can do a lot with Justin Herbert.
No
But I
question.
think I don't think there is enough evidence to warrant Brandon Staley being let go.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because they let the coach before him go, and I don't know if they had enough evidence to let him go as well. I liked how he led that team in the Hard Knocks, but yeah. So Bengals, Bills.
Okay.
Who's winning that game?
Well, this is where we are. This is where we are right now.
Yeah.
From your AFC picks, from the wild card games, you got the Bills, you got Cincinnati, and you did say Jacksonville. Is that correct?
No, I think Chargers.
You said Chargers.
I think
Okay.
Chargers.
So from those three teams, you got to pick one team to be the AFC champion.
Cincinnati.
Now, there's one team that got the first round bye. You know who that was?
Kansas
The
City.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have four teams to pick one from the AFC. Who would that be?
I am still picking the Cincinnati Bengals.
You're going to Bengals.
I'm going with the Bengals.
Okay, you chose the Bengals AFC. I took I took San Francisco from
Yep.
the NFC.
Yep.
So now we have San Fran and Cincinnati
Yep.
in the Super Bowl. Our picks. One final question and close the show out. Who you going with tomorrow night? College football championship.
Who am I going with? That's almost a loaded question, man.
TCU and Georgia. We know Georgia's a 12-point favorite.
12.5. The spread is at 12.5 right now. That's crazy.
I'm not in agreement with that, but I asked you the question, so.
I am going with. I think Georgia's going to take it. I think Georgia's going to win.
Will they cover the spread?
They're not going to cover the spread. I think the
Won't
spread
be
is.
12.
I think it's disrespectful. I think it's going to be a one-score
But
game.
you're still going with Georgia.
Still going with Georgia. I think, despite even how well C.J. Stroud played, and how well Ohio State hung around, Georgia still pulled out the victory, man. And TCU is a high-octane offense too, but
Give me a final score.
final score 42-37.
42-37 Georgia.
Yep.
I'm 35. I'm 37-35.
Okay.
TCU.
Okay.
TCU tomorrow night. You heard it here
Here first.
You heard it here first. We'll see you again Tuesday morning. See who's right. See who's wrong. Peace. Peace.
That's good, man.